All right, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Kinjite, Forbidden Subjects. To think I pronounced the first word wrong. During my what's coming down the pike segments of previous videos. What a movie poster. I want that movie poster. This one's got lesbian full frontal explosions. Some kind of white slavery business with prepubescent girls. Some kind of Jeffrey Epstein dude in Los Angeles who looks more Hispanic and I don't know. He looks like something out of a Bad Lieutenant movie. He's got a little ponytail going. This Jeffrey Epstein dude. And then you've got Charles Bronson playing a tough police cop, beats the crap out of people at age 75 or whatever it is. 70s. He looks like he's about 70. And he's beating the crap out of people. And his daughter, so his daughter gets wheeled out in his daughter gets her genitals felt out on the bus based on this Japanese dude's fantasy on a Japanese subway. And Charles Bronson ends up rescuing the Japanese dude's daughter. And they come face to face again. And Charles Bronson's daughter knows who it is, but she doesn't do anything. What is going on in here? Anyway, I'm giving this 5 out of 5 stars. This is going to be another Karate Man recommendation. Kinjite, Forbidden Subjects. What a movie poster. Oh, man. Charles Bronson busted up the wrong cocaine party. It was some kind of lesbian photo shoot with a couple of Asian babes. Kinjite, Forbidden Subjects is, I kept calling it Kinjite. It's Kinjite, I think. Forbidden Subjects is a 1989 U.S. action thriller film starring Charles Bronson, directed by J. Lee Thompson, and produced by Cannon. Again, this is another Charles Bronson, J. Lee Thompson Cannon thingamabobber from 1989, which is when they must have gone out of business, because the only other movies I can remember from 1989 are the Chuck Norris horror movie and A Man Called Sarge that Cannon did. Terrible movie, by the way. Do not watch A Man Called Sarge. As Thompson's final film, it was the last project he and Bronson did together, a long and famed Hollywood collaboration. But thanks to Golan and Globus, they managed to run Cannon into the ground. with all of their stupid ideas, culminating in bankruptcy and splitting off into different business ventures. All right. The word Kinjite translates to English as forbidden move, hinting at the subject matter. The movie marks the ninth and final collaboration between Bronson and director J. Lee Thompson, beginning with the movie St. Ives in 1976. Their partnership spanned nearly 13 years. Charles Bronson feeding the bad guy his own watch is one of the most unique threats to a villain ever. This is just 100% badass. And then he lit the guy's car on fire and exploded. This is really sleazy Bronson movie, but I got to say this one of Bronson's best and most highly underrated gems. Yes, it's really disturbing, but the action and cast makes it watchable. Bronson. Sorry, my spelling. Oh. Karate Man's in the chat room. Good timing, Karate Man. Usually he enters late in my video and he repeats the same thing that I've already said. But I'm just getting started here. All right. I don't know. It's got the lesbian foo. It's got the full frontal. It's got the explosions. It's got Charles Bronson back in his police role after that Messenger of Death or whatever it was called. The last Bronson Thompson canon review that I did, was it Messenger of Death? Yeah, 1988, 1 year prior. Messenger of Death is this is way better than Messenger of Death. It's right up there with Murphy's Law and 10 to Midnight. And it's got James Liu doing the stunts. This time, he's not an actor; he's doing the stunts. Hiroshi Hada, a Japanese businessman in a troubled marriage, sees a woman being groped in a crowded Tokyo subway, and he starts getting off on it. I thought I was watching some lesbian porno with two Japanese women staring at each other on the train. But no, it's a horny married Japanese businessman who likes to drink and flirt with the ladies after work. His wife is Christian. She's kind of telling him to cut it out, but he won't listen to her. He is fascinated by the fact that she moans silently, involuntary orgasms, but does not cry out or let people know she is being sexually molested. So here we have voluntary slavery. When Hada is transferred to Los Angeles, he has too much to drink at a business party. Big surprise. And he tries to imitate what he saw by groping a Caucasian schoolgirl while riding a crowded bus. And that Caucasian schoolgirl just happens to be Charles Bronson's daughter. Let's see, distributed by Canon Films, release date February 3rd, 1989. In the US, running time 97 minutes. Good time. 1 hour, 37 minutes, not too bad. I'm off to a good start this weekend. Country, United States, language, English, budget unknown. Box office 3,416,846 in the USA alone. So we wonder where all the money went with Canon. Where did all of that $3 million go? Did it pay Charles Bronson's salary? What the heck is going on here? We don't even know what the budget is for this. But unlike the Japanese woman that Hada saw in Japan, the US girl screams. Hada runs away, but he is robbed and beaten by a mugger. Must be Los Angeles, 1989. Anyways, meanwhile, several innocent Asian men are beaten by bystanders who suspect that one of them is the man who groped the girl. And of course, Charles Bronson is very racist against Japanese people. He says they're taking over. Look at them. They're at the convention center and they're blocking the sidewalk and they're double parking. The girl happens to be Rita Crow, the daughter of an LAPD Vice Squad detective, Lieutenant Crow, played by the great Charles Bronson, an officer with a strong sense of justice who is very protective of her. Shortly afterwards, Fumiko, Hada's daughter, is kidnapped into a child prostitution ring led by the infamous pimp king, Duke. And Duke is the guy that Karate Man is talking about. Duke is the guy who's forced to swallow his own watch, and he nearly chokes to death. I'm sure he would have choked to death in real life, but this is a movie. So he manages to survive with the watch in his stomach. Crow, who has developed a general dislike of the Japanese due to his daughter's incident, is assigned against his will to find the girl. His feelings about Japanese people start to change when he realizes that the Hadas care about their daughter as intensely as he cares for his daughter. Little did they know that Mr. Hada was the one who started feeling out his daughter's groin area, doing a little upskirt move on the bus with his hand. Crow and his partner, Eddie Rios, eventually find Fumiko and they rescue her from the pimp and his gang, or at least so they think. They kill one member of the gang, but the others escaped. Basically, they're dangling Cy Richardson by his legs, and then his shoes come off, and he bangs his head on the bottom of a swimming pool, and you see him in a pool of blood. That was a pretty cool scene. The Hadas visits Crow's house with gifts to show their appreciation for his work. Rita recognizes Hiroshi as the man who groped her on the bus, and he recognizes her, but neither one says anything. Why? Oh. However, despite this apparently happy ending, Fumiko has been so traumatized by her experiences as a child prostitute. She was raped by Duke and his gang members and then sold to customers of both sexes, that she commits suicide by an overdose. Now, that is a weird scene. This movie keeps getting darker and weirder. Crow and Rios decide to find Duke, and they locate him on a boat in a harbor thanks to one of Fumiko's haikus that she wrote for Charles Bronson. He figured it out with his police buddy. Duke and his remaining gang members kill Rios, but Duke eventually ends up in the harbor. Since Duke can't swim, Crow has the option to let the gangster drown, but he ends up dragging him out. However, as a way of poetic justice, Crow has Duke interned in a prison wing inhabited by sexually aggressive inmates. His designated cellmate makes several sexual allusions, leading Duke to realize that he is intent on raping him. So Duke is about to get Dookie in the booty. I like the beginning when Charles Bronson pulls out a dildo and he's gonna like stick it up this guy's arse. Poetic justice. And there's a great scene in a junkyard at the end with a lot of cool looking explosions that just come out of nowhere. All right. Filming started in June 1988. It was one of a number of movies made in Hollywood with Japanese themes around this time, others including Collision Course and Black Rain. The movie was meant to be shot back to back with The Golem, which was to have had to have the same star, Bronson, producer Kohner, and director Thompson as Kinjite, but that film was not made. Bronson said the film was a little more interesting than most I've been offered because of its culture clash element. It's from the point of view of a policeman who never read a business page in his life, Bronson said, but he can see what's happening and he's not sure he likes or understands it. I keep looking desperately for scripts that haven't been done dozens of times before. I think guys keep writing for what they see on TV, copying what's already there. And so we have the typical 80s thing where the Japanese are taking over the U.S. economy because they're so smart. They invented the VCR and their cars are better than U.S. cars, that sort of thing. So the film was the 9th Bronson had made with J. Lee Thompson. The star preferred Thompson to Michael Winner, calling the latter brazen when he's working in the street. He takes it over and he doesn't care about complaints, but it's tough shooting with him. He demands 3 takes of every shot. And if it's hard running or some other action, it gets to you. J. Lee only demands 2. The Los Angeles Times called the movie a pretty odd, murky stew. If you think you might be offended by it, don't go. You will be. Thompson has always had an evil sense of humor, and the movie repeatedly crosses the line between dramatizing a situation and exploiting it, exposing racism or moral rot, and almost indulging in it. But the disturbance you feel in watching Kinjite doesn't just come because it has a sordid subject. Some bad scenes or heavy cargo of shock and sleaze, but because it leaves us much of the time with no moral anchor. Be sleazy, playa. Be sleazy. All right. Kinjite, Forbidden Subjects. I finally pronounced it. I kept calling it Kinjite. Anyways, Kinjite, Forbidden Subjects, 1989. Rated R, 1 hour, 37 minutes. It's got full frontal. It's the Bronson, J. Lee Thompson canon formula that we're familiar with, not the messenger of death, peacemaker dude. He's kicking arse, taking names, and making the Jeffrey Epstein, Hispanic version of Jeffrey Epstein, swallow his own watch. All right, gets a pretty mediocre 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb, 4,100 ratings. I don't see how it's underrated, though, as Karate Man keeps using that word. Seeing as how it's so popular with Bronson fans, 40,000, 4,100 ratings is quite a lot. People watching this Charles Bronson movie. Anyways, a brutal Los Angeles police lieutenant is determined to bust up an organization that forces underage girls into prostitution. Hey, it sounds like Jeffrey Epstein. But the dude's Hispanic. His name is Juan Fernandez. And he doesn't look familiar to me, but I did recognize Cy Richardson and Danny Trejo, who's in it for like 5 seconds. More like this Messenger of Death, 10 to Midnight, The Evil That Men Do, and Murphy's Law. Messenger of Death was all right. It's rated much lower than 10 to Midnight or Murphy's Law. Not much lower, but slightly lower, I should say. The Evil That Men Do is on my list. I haven't seen it or reviewed it yet, but I plan on doing so at some point before I die. The original script was a police drama with minimal action. After Crow and Rios throw Levant off the balcony into the pool, his lifeless body floats back to the top of the water. The dead body is clearly a white man, but Levant was black. Quotes from Rita Crow. Some Oriental guy touched my holy of holies. Poor Rita Crow. And she recognized the assailant when he came to bring her a gift. And she didn't do anything. Why? Inquiring minds want to know why she didn't feel like she got raped by his hand. I don't get it. Anyways, this was featured in Siskel and Ebert, Her Alibi, Three Fugitives, Lawrence of Arabia, Kinjite, Forbidden Subjects, and Voices of Serafina from 1989. Soundtracks. Miyoto Shunju, written by Shozuki Ichikawa, JASRAC, courtesy of Nippon Columbia in Japan. Here's a much lower rating from The Animal Mother, dated March 20th, 2014. The Animal Mother gives it a 5 out of 10, and she's calling it sleazy and cheesy 80s detective morality tale on her IMDb review, with more holes than an unsucking U-boat and more cheese than a medium pizza. Kinjite still manages to entertain those of us who are fond of Bronson or those who are fans of the more gritty action films of the era. The film has strong moments, but it also suffers at times from overly lazy dialogue, direction, and overall storytelling. And it's hard to forget the painfully bad 80s music in this film. I thought it was pretty decent music. I don't know what the complaint is about. The fight scenes are also far from great. However, there's enough grit, sleaze, and action to make the film a worthy watch for many. The film undoubtedly a fairly confused morality trail, or perhaps a morality tale within a confused society, is the better way of describing it. In the end, the film does rely on a sort of karmic justice to satisfy its audience, and to a decent degree it works. At times, however, it just leaves us asking some very strange questions. There are a few parts that don't really make sense. Of another note, there is an early but very small appearance by Danny Trejo in the film, as well as a decent performance from a very young Nicole Eggert, as well as a strong performance by the little known but hard to take your eyes off of Amy Hathaway, worth a look for some, but not to be touched with a 10-foot pole by others. My rating, a 5.5 out of 10. Of course, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. This one's highly recommended. Check it out. Oh, Karate Man likes the music too. The cop partner of Charles Bronson was the same guy who played one of the bad guys in Death Wish 4, if you recognize him. No, I don't recognize him, but I'll add his name in the description because obviously that's something that's the name in the description. Perry Lopez. I better put Perry Lopez as one of the acting credits. All right, going down my list, we've got The Young and the Innocent, 1937, Port of New York, 1949, and Death Wish, 1974. Those are my next three. And then we get into the Kickboxer series, some Jean-Claude Van Damme stuff. And that's going to be pretty much the extent of my Perry Lopez. That's going to be the extent of my Karate Man reviews going forward. I got this movie for free on Tubi, and I posted a link in the description if you want to watch this movie for free. There's also a free trailer on YouTube without any commercial interruptions if you want to check that out. Even the guy who plays Angry Police Captain was also in Death Wish 4. He was used in Delta 2 as well. Cannon used a lot of the same supporting actors. Okay, now who are we talking about? Captain Tovar? Do you mean Gerald Castillo? All right, so I guess I have to put Gerald Castillo in the credits now. He was in Delta Force 2, The Colombian Connection, and also Death Wish 4? All right. I will add his name. Karate Man's a canon fanatic. He knows more about this stuff than I do. How is that even possible? Oh, it's because I watch canon sporadically, and Karate Man has it permanently engraved in his head. All right. Oh, so number one is Young and Innocent, 1937. Number two is Port of New York, 1949. Then we got number three, Death Wish, 1974. And number four, Knockoff, 1998. That's the Jean-Claude Van Damme that I was talking about. Yeah, I've got Kickboxer 2, number 6 on my list. Kickboxer 3, The Art of War, number 9 on my list. And Kickboxer 4, The Aggressor, number 12 on my list. And Kickboxer 5, Redemption, number 15 on my list. So, and then I've got Popeye the Sailor. I'm in the Army now, number 14 on my list. You know, Popeye the Sailor Man is public domain now, and we have a couple of Popeye horror movies. We've got Popeye the Slayer Man coming out. There's also Popeye the Sailor Man. I don't know what other movies are coming out, but people are just taking advantage of the public domain of Popeye. And they're just going nuts with the movies this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with 10 Popeye movies this year. Sasha Mitchell. I have no idea who Sasha Mitchell is. Now Karate Man's confusing me. He pulled an Adrian on me just now. Who the heck is Sasha Mitchell? Anyways, I guess I'll find out once I start watching this stuff. The first Kickboxer was lame. I think I've already reviewed that one. The 1989 Kickboxer. Oh, that was Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm thinking of a different movie. Never mind. Is this where he's he battles Tai Po with his glass, or is it Freddie Lee? I don't know. He's got the glass Tong Po, yeah. This is where Jean-Claude Van Damme goes up against Tong Po, and they put glass on their hands. They've got their hands wrapped in some kind of, I don't know. It's some kind of mummy wrap that they put around their hands, and then they stick it in glue, and then they stick the glue in the broken glass, and they start fighting with each other. Oh, Sasha Mitchell plays Van Damme's brother in Kickboxers sequels, but no Van Damme. Van Damme only does sequels for Universal Soldier. Is that the deal with Van Damme? He's too messed up on cocaine to do a sequel, unless it's Universal Soldier. Tong Po, the bald Thai fighter with long ponytail. He returns in Kickboxer 2, but then Kickboxer 4, he's played by another actor. So you've got multiple Tong Po's. He's like Zoink the Clown of the kickboxing world. Is that Zoink the Clown? Doink the Clown, sorry. Why did I say Zoink? I meant Doink the Clown. Because you had multiple people playing Doink the Clown and various wrestling venues. Matt Osborne, Steve Kime, Steve Lombardi. And then you had the four Doinks, Ray Licamelli, Ray Apollo, Mark Starr, Jeff Jarrett, Ace Darling, Dusty Wolf, Metal Maniac, Preston Steele, Chris Jericho, Nick Dinsmore, Dwayne Henderson. Some unknown person played Doink at the 2020 Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And numerous other wrestlers on the independent circuit. There's even an independent Doink. A picture of an independent Doink on Wikipedia. Doink the Clown. Tong Po, he was the guy who kept kicking at that pillar, and the pillar broke, right? And Jean-Claude Van Damme's brother said, "You better not fight with that guy. He's going to kill you with his leg." All right. I remember Tong Po. He's a massive Thai man with a ponytail, and he likes to kick at pillars and fight with broken glass on his fist. He's a mean SOB, that Tong Po. Anyways, cool stuff. We got lots of Karate Man stuff. We've got Death Wish number 3 and Knockoff number 4. And Kickboxer 2 number 6. So we've got 3 Karate Man recommendations coming in the next 2 weeks. Pretty cool stuff. Thanks, Karate Man. This is highly recommended. Check it out. We love Charles Bronson, unless he's doing Messenger of Death on this channel. Laters.